Today's podcast is brought to you by Audible.com. Get 2 free audiobook downloads and a 30-day free trial at www.audibletrial.com/footballisamerica. Over 150,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, iPad, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player. For the listeners of the Football is America podcast, Audible is offering 2 free audiobooks and a free 30-day free trial to give you the opportunity to check out their service. Books from all genres and walks of life right into your ears. The Hobbit by Tolkien, Divergent by Veronica Roth, Lean In by Sheryl Sandberg, The Book Thief by Marcus Zuzak, and Always Looking Up, The Adventures of an Incurable Optimist by Michael J. Fox. To download your free selections today, go to audibletrial.com/footballisamerica. Again, that's audibletrial.com/footballisamerica, or go to footballisamerica.com and click the banner on the homepage.
Hey everyone, this is Ron from Football is America, and we are inviting you to check out our website, footballisamerica.com. Catch up on all the shows and interviews right there.
We really would appreciate it if you check this out. We've had a lot of work put into it. We're very proud of our product. We really, really need you to get on there. Take a look at our links. Get on our GoFundMe if you got some spare cash you can throw at us. Check out our Amazon links. Check out our Audible links. We've got so many great things to give to you. Use that Amazon search bar when you're going to be buying on Amazon. It doesn't cost you anything extra. It'll take you right to the Amazon page as if you had searched through Amazon itself, because it is Amazon itself. It just helps us out when you come to make your purchase, and no extra effort is required on your part.
Yeah, a reminder that we do all of this for free, but it, unfortunately, is not free to do. So anything you can do to help us out would be great. Don't forget to also keep commenting, sending us those tweets, those emails, those Facebook comments, or berate us on Reddit. Without your interaction, we can't fix what you think is wrong or keep what is right. Let us know how we are doing, and you can always just get on there and tell Kyle he is horrible hellspawn and needs to go back to his creator, Lucifer.
I prefer to think of Mondo Jesus as my creator, but to each his own. We won't know until you hit that comment button. Get on there. Give us your thoughts, your opinions, your ideas. We really enjoy hearing them. I might berate you for it, but that doesn't mean we're not all having fun.
That's right. Hey, enjoy the show.
All right. Hey, Ron.
Yes.
Ron? Hey, never mind. Hey, Kyle.
Hello?
What is football?
America?
That's right! Welcome to Football is America. Ron, Kyle, and Mike. I brought my dinner bell, and I didn't bother telling anybody about it until right now. Ron, how do you feel about this?
Yeah.
I've had this bell in my pocket for the last 2 hours, and Ron's over here like, oh, I'm leading the show tonight. I'm like, no, I've got this bell plan. Don't worry about it. I'm bringing it in.
I think that it's maybe not the best thing you've done, but the simple fact you've had it in your pocket for 2 hours makes me love it. So I found the humor in it. I can appreciate it. I like it. Don't do it again, but I like it.
Hey, listen to me, man. The bell's happening, right? And you know why? We're like 23 and a half hours from my birthday, so I'm doing whatever the F I want right now.
Okay.
I'm so excited to be getting this show going on. We got other good news. Kyle, you just got a promotion?
I did?
Did you?
I don't know.
Ron, are you lying to me?
I'm not lying. It's not what I said. I said Kyle is now the guy they lean on when they need a project done right away.
Well, it sounds like Kyle is in prime position for a promotion. I'll still applaud that.
All right, yeah, okay.
All right.
I will say my boss
That's
told me today he thought that I have been doing excellent work, so all right, yeah. I did spend all of last week in and around Kotzebue, Alaska, where despite being April, it was still -4. And today being Monday, I came in like, all right, just got back on Saturday. What am I doing? Staying around town? They're like, no, you're going to catch a can tomorrow. Okay.
I don't see, dude, like that sucks. Like I can use to empathize with people when they complain about how cold it is, but like you straight up, like you weren't born in Alaska, right? Like you found Alaska.
I'm from the friggin' desert, man.
Yep.
The Army of its infinite wisdom is like, hey, you just went to Iraq, and then you're coming back to Tennessee, Kentucky, where it's super duper swamp ass. Guess what's going to be great for you in February? Oh, Alaska! I had never seen snow before in my life.
That's awesome.
Really? You had never seen snow before ever?
Nope, not once.
Brilliant.
Wow.
And the Army said, hey, -20, that's your life now. I almost didn't go.
To summarize, you moved to Alaska, and I don't feel bad for you. Ron, how you doing?
Good. It's been a long week since we did the last show.
It feels like way too damn long.
Yeah, I spent the week doing homework, lots of stuff like that, watching some basketball, believe it or not, college basketball. I sat in a art history class tonight and watched most of the Wisconsin Duke basketball game.
I was going to bring that up, that you were texting me in your art history class like, this is so boring. Like, while you're I was just like hanging out at home, like I'm not F me having a good time while you're out here having to learn about art history and stuff.
Yeah, I just been working on the show. We have a lot of new stuff about to happen with the show. It's great, new website, new everything. And if you haven't checked out our new website, you definitely need to, footballisamerica.com. It's going to be great. Our kind of media guy. Great. Yeah, our media guy, Anthony, he is working hard at that, and it is going to be very comprehensive and very interactive.
Mike, how are you doing? We didn't get to ask you yet. How are you?
I'm just like pumped to be sitting here doing a podcast. I think like I've been thinking about it all day. I'm just really into it.
Well, and I am happy for that.
Yeah, my birthday coming up technically the day after tomorrow, and just things are like going well with like work and like life. I don't know. I'm killing it. I'm doing okay right now.
Well, I am happy to hear that. I'd like to take one quick moment to get some behind the scenes without giving too much information. We did have a thing going. We were trying to get some deals with some people, and it ended up somebody put a deal on the table, and I don't know how old all of you listening are, but we essentially had a situation where somebody tried to Wayne's World us, only with a crappier deal because they didn't offer us $10,000.
Oh, God. That's going to be so bad.
Dude, we literally were absconded by a bad guy worse than the bad guy in Wayne's World.
These people are like, hey, we're going to go ahead and steal your soul, and you're going to say thank you. Sorry, already in the Army for 10 years. I got nothing left.
Actually,
the joke
you know
there
what?
Is they took all of it.
And that's actually awesome because that is the other significant news. Actually, probably why I've got a little pep in my step lately is I'm almost I'm like plus minus 2-3 days of exactly 1 year until I'm out of the Navy.
Oh, that's a good celebration moment.
Yep. So the days are falling quickly. Here we go.
Well, I have one last announcement to make.
Yeah, lay it on us. What's up?
I've decided that it is now time for me to announce that come December, I will have a new child. My wife is pregnant, and we don't know what it is yet, but we will be finding out here in the next couple weeks.
Oh, I am so excited.
You announced that in an incredibly awkward way. You started with, I will have a new child. Then you went, my wife is pregnant. So it's like, what, are you just going to grab one off the street? I mean, is surveillance picking up? What's happening? That is so Ron to announce it that way, and it's so Kyle to rip on you for it. Beautiful moment. Some of your family only just now finding out, and what do? I dump all over it. Uncle Kyle loves you.
Yeah, I was just about to say, we're going to play this audio back for like Uncle Kyle for the child when they reach age.
You think that I care? I'm used as a threat for my actual nieces and nephews. My brothers and sisters-in-law tell their kids, do you want me to call Uncle Kyle? Do you want Uncle Kyle to come over here and give you a spanking? And they act right, because I am mean to these children, because it is funny to me.
Do you want me to call Uncle Kyle? No, he spells his name weird.
All right, let's get moving on.
I'm going to give all the points in that round to Mike. I think he just defeated me there. Well done. Okay.
Are we going to talk about football? Is that what we're about right now?
I could definitely talk about Ron's pregnancy, but I'll just assume that Ron's wife knows all the things that I would have said had I known what happened, and we can just move on to the actual athletics if you guys are willing.
All right, guys, you want to move into news?
Yeah, let's do that.
Are we good with all that? All right, let's touch on this. The NFL shells out punishments to the Falcons and Browns for their infractions. First up is the Falcons, who lost a 5th-round draft pick in 2016 and a $350,000 fine. And that's for them, pumping in fake crowd noise?
Yes. The fall guy for the Falcons ended up being the director of event marketing, whose name is Roddy White. And
strangely,
and it's I just think it's funny that the only two
that's why there's two Roddy Whites.
There are only two Roddy Whites in the world, both work for the Falcons. That's hilarious.
The only two.
Yes, the only two.
You wrote a joke so bad that your brain couldn't even read it, and now it just derailed your whole train of thought.
Oh, no.
Okay, so what's going on with this? The draft pick, 5th rounder, maybe you find a guy there, most likely you don't. You get a guy serviceable as a depth player for 3 to 4 years, most of the time. So they're not exactly being hammered, and yet at the same time, we're reading both sides that some are saying too lenient, some are saying too harsh on this punishment. I find that interesting, to say the least, but I really don't know what the appropriate level of anger is for this, because if they're pumping in crowd noise and whooping people, or opposing teams are saying it's really hard to play there because of the noise, that's one thing. But when your team is bad, it's hard to discern an advantage.
I'm just a little, I think maybe just more needs to actually come out as far as, hard facts on, who was making the call to pump in the crowd music. I mean, because a lot of people are being affected by this fine and then losing that draft pick. Is the right guy taking the fall for this? I'm not entirely convinced it is. But, as far as the fine and penalties go, I don't know. I think the shame of the world knowing that the Falcons have been doing the sports equivalent of, patting one's crotch bulge. I think the shame of being caught red-handed doing that should be enough. They should just be sent to bed without supper and laughed at, because this is a pretty lame thing to be busted for.
Yeah, they're not the first team to get busted for pumping in crowd noise. I know that in the story that I read, a fan said that he actually had to go to one of the event managers and tell them that the speaker that was directly overhead was so loud that they were getting headaches and they couldn't even enjoy the game.
Jesus.
So,
well, right after them, Browns have been hit with some fines. They have somehow managed to draw even more negative attention to themselves.
General manager Ray Farmer was suspended for the first 4 games of the season. The team has been fined $250,000, and the league investigation found that Farmer was in violation of the NFL rules when it came to texting the football staff from his spot in the coaches/GM's booth or wherever it is that he hangs out during multiple games. What's funny about that is they were still awful for the most part. So what was the advantage gained?
None.
I kind of use this as a platform for something else. So, and that is that we have seen the resolution of these two things. They're done. They've decided what the penalties are going to be, and you know what? We still don't have
yet.
Yeah, I know exactly where you're going to go. Lay it on me.
They still have not figured out the Patriots cheating thing, the Greg Hardy thing. They haven't figured out the Adrian Peterson thing, although they say that now that they're going to be meeting with him sometime tomorrow. I doubt that he's going to be reinstated before April 15th, like was originally planned. The NFL somehow still got their way in all of this. And there's just so much that the league hasn't shored up, but for some reason we can take 2 terrible teams with idiots running them and figure out what their fines are going to be. That's like molehills. It's like, what are you doing at this point?
He doesn't know any better. He's just a boy.
Yeah, they don't know any better because they're stupid. They're what these people
are. Silly teams. Pumping the crowd noise, texting on the field. What if the dude didn't have unlimited texting and basically he paid 25 cents a text to get fined an ass load of money?
Well, I just want to know, for one thing, did he use emojis? And if not, missed opportunity. That's number one. Number two, piggybacking on Ron's thing. Yeah, the reason we get resolution on these, nobody cares. That's the thing. The teams didn't matter. So the results don't matter. And that's why we're able to see some people going, these punishments are way too harsh. Some people are saying, it's way too lenient. It's because it's so easy to be confused by it. Because what difference does it make? Whereas with the Patriots thing, no matter what, there's going to be anger. Find him guilty. You're just hating. Find him innocent. Well, you can't blame the champion. Or you could go with the theory that I proposed, I want to say 1 week after the fact, which is they're going to find a way to say, well, it's not the Patriots' fault, but they aren't totally innocent either. It was nobody's fault, you guys. Let's all have some cake. And that's going to be the one that makes everybody the angriest, because it's going to end up with a slap on the wrist kind of punishment, a tongue-in-cheek sort of, don't do it again, $25,000, whatever. And I don't know. I don't see the Browns having gained any particular advantage. I think it's probably a good thing. The reason I really am glad that they punished the Browns on this is because I think it's good for coaches to have that autonomy away from the GM to be able to run the game during the game. So that way, it's bad enough that GMs can set the roster in the minds of a coach, but now they're commenting on which plays they like and don't like. Save that for after the fact.
And I'm stealing some of Mike's thunder here because this was another topic we were going to talk about later, but this is where it belongs. Deflategate still hasn't been solved yet, and the biggest problem with that is that has draft implications. So if they don't fix it before the draft, essentially they're going to be taking draft picks from the next draft, which will give a team a lot of time to prepare, whereas now they wouldn't. So there's either one of two things that's happening here. Either they're holding out in order to screw the Pats over with the draft pick they're going to take, or they're simply still growing that much more incompetent. And I have to believe it's the latter at this point.
As a friend and then co-host and, radio person with you, I really appreciate how polite you are as a person, Ron, but you didn't steal my thunder. The only thing I had written down for this was Illuminati. That's all I wrote down for Deflategate. Like, you're not stealing my thunder, bro.
Yep.
Illuminati. Like, that's the summary of my opinions on it.
I'm telling you right now that if they don't have this thing figured out before the draft, there is going to be outrage. There's going to be outrage regardless.
I love the fact that we're definitely the only people talking about it. Though, like, all Illuminati jokes aside, like, I really hear no one else bringing this up.
Right. I've read a few articles and that's it. And when you look at what's happening, you see what happened to the Browns. You see what happened to the Falcons with their 5th round choice being taken, and nothing's happened to the Patriots. And their punishment has to be at least 5 to 10 times more harsh than the other two's combined.
Well, but that's why nobody's talking about it, because it won't be. And that's depressing. Like, when you read about some rich dude getting, just slap on the wrist, like probation for a horrible, heinous crime, and it happens all the time, it's infuriating and you feel powerless and it's horrible. Even if it didn't happen to you or anybody you know, it's just awful. And to get this idea that the Patriots are going to get away fairly scot-free if they are in fact guilty of what they're alleged to doing, and it looks like in some way, shape, or form, the balls were underinflated. One way or another, that's bad. So it's people don't want to talk about it because at this point it is depressing. As a Colts fan, I feel like the Colts have this weird obligation to want to see it through, being the team that brought it to the league's attention. So there's this weird, like, sense that the Colts are the victim here, I guess, because they really were, even though they were going to lose regardless. And I just want it over. I don't even care. I mean, come out and say, they didn't do it. It was some other guy. Whatever. Fine. I just don't want to hear about it anymore, because being strung along with hope that the league is going to do the right thing is worse than being told no. Right now, being strung along is worse.
Hey, do you, can I make one final prediction on the Deflategate thing before we move on?
Absolutely.
Please do.
I just would like to call it right now, day before my birthday, like, so we can come back and archive this, that we're going to get a resolution to Deflategate, one way or the other, where maybe it's not a full thing, but there's going to be some big news on it after the draft. I give it within a week after the draft. We're going to hear something about it. That's probably what's taken so damn long. Whoever's had their fingers in the pies enough to actually make this happen, like, that's where it's going to end up. I'm calling it.
Well, that's going to be too late by then, too.
Like, that's why I'm calling it. Like, that'll be horribly convenient for everyone, won't it?
Ugh.
All right, well, moving on. The NFL has now started looking into cameras for the goal lines, effectively admitting that Grumpy Bill was right. They should not have dismissed it so quickly. I guess this means that if you complain about a legitimate point enough, eventually the NFL will at least acknowledge that you're speaking.
I guess that's a way to look at it. I don't believe what I'm going to say next, but I feel I've got to be a little cynical because we were just talking about Deflategate. Another way of looking at it is, hey, if you're affiliated with Robert Kraft and you bellyache enough, you're going to get what you want.
That's another way to look at it.
I don't have a whole lot for this one. I'm the one that kind of went on the diatribe about this one last week. It's a needed thing. For any owner to say that the NFL doesn't have the money to do it, or the owners don't have the money to do it, they're lying and they're full of crap, and they're also tightwads and cheap asses, and it's a needed thing. I mean, we've seen so many calls go the wrong way because the camera angles weren't there, and the refs don't have a look at the broadcast cameras until it shows it on a jumbotron, and then they're not even allowed to use that as their decision-making process. They're not allowed to use what is seen on the jumbotron, even though every single other person in the stadium can see what's happening. It doesn't make sense. And granted, you're not always going to get a perfect angle, especially when it's like 4th and 1 on the goal line. There's a lot of people there. Are you going to get a good picture from a camera that's mounted on the goal line? Probably not. But at least that gives you that much more advantage in the refereeing game to get it right.
Yeah, you're going to get a better picture than the ref.
Right. And
well, what about my point of put a tiny little IR sensor inside the ball, can be something weightless, doesn't affect the form or function of the ball, and you can have a way of definitively knowing when it crosses the goal line. There are so many things that could happen with a small amount of thought and engineering and finance, but the league is so afraid of spending money unless they can guarantee without doubt there will be a massive return in revenue. Like, I mean, I brought up before, oh, here's a giant novelty wine slipper with your team's logo on it. I mean, did they all sit around and approve that? No, they just, whatever, company's got our best interest. Just, keep the checks coming, whatever. But for something to improve the quality of the product they put out, that's ridiculous. That's like saying, hey, we don't have time to put genuine ground beef in these patties and have somebody make sure it's genuine ground beef. Just put whatever we got in there. I don't care. The cardboard's good for the kids too.
All right, well, we've got new light shed on the NFL drug testing procedures during the whole Hernandez trial, and public opinion in the league continues to plummet, especially within my own little corner of Football is America. I guess what they're doing, the way that they drug test, they're going to be like, all right, guys, we're going to drug test you between April and August. Your PP test is coming in April and August, probably in April. And if you get it early, you're not getting it again. So between April and August, you're going to be P tested, and all the other guys sitting around, like, namely Hernandez, is going to sit here like, oh, okay, good. That leaves me a solid rest of the damn year to get as high as I want. And apparently it's just real easy to BS your way through a drug test with the NFL. It's looking like, to me, the goal of the NFL's drug testing baloney isn't to catch players using drugs. It's just give the illusion that they're preventing players from using drugs.
I agree with you there, and that raises a question, why not just say the league is no longer going to test for marijuana in the same way that basketball no longer tests for it? The NBA doesn't care because they know that it's not going to be good for them if they start testing their guys for pot. They're going to lose a lot of players. It will hurt the brand.
Yeah, it's not exactly a performance-enhancing drug to begin with.
Yeah, so I don't really know what the distinctive advantage is, but, this all came up with the Aaron Hernandez trial and the reveal that, oh yeah, dude was high, like, all the time, like, every day.
Right.
Which, I mean, not surprising given who it is, but you wonder, how do you do that? Doesn't the league test? No, as Mike said, you're going to get tested once. If you beat it, that's it for the year. And when are they going to do that test? More than likely during training camp. So you go ahead, you go to GNC, you take your multi-millionaire, or at least $100,000 guy salary, and you buy some, various supplements, and you know what you buy. And if you don't, then it's not your problem.
Right.
And and you buy those things, and now all of a sudden your pee-pee's clean, and you're fine. And that's why Aaron Hernandez could smoke so much ganj that he was able to kill one of his best friends. And it turns out, I don't know how we didn't know about this, his fiance's sister's boyfriend was the dude that he murdered.
I know that.
His fiance's, I did not know that. That was apparently well known to some, but not enough. I would think that would be a huge deal. Not only one of his best buddies, a kid he had known since growing up times, because he met his fiance in what, junior high?
Yes.
And so, like, these are all kids, grew up together, all that. Aaron's just the guy who made it, smoking weed with the dude, you know. His fiance's sister, I mean, like, he's going to be family with this dude. Literal, actual, I mean, okay, brothers-in-law, but still, that's, you know.
This whole thing is just, Mike and I were talking about this before the show. This whole thing is just the illusion that they are testing people. Kyle and I, and I know Mike does too, feels like sometimes that is used in a lot of occupations, to include the military, that it is just basically them saying we're doing it so that people can see that we're doing it. And in the event that someone is stupid enough to get caught smoking marijuana or using drugs that they shouldn't be using, that's not on the league, that's on the person. I mean, this is an intelligence test, really. When you do this, this is finding out how smart you are to not show up having just rolled an entire fat doobie out of a Mad magazine.
Yeah. The old, it does not matter that the system does not make sense. It is sufficient that there is a system.
Exactly.
Speaking of military, I distinctly remember a time when we had people coming in and talking about how great their travel safety planner was and how they were patting themselves on the back. We're keeping you soldiers safe. And I pointed out to them, hey, I can put in here that I'm going to make a 36-hour drive in 48 hours. I'm going to get no sleep. I'm going to be high as a mother effer on this whole thing. Uppers, downers, coffee, not wearing my seatbelt, hitting my wife. And I'm going to do the whole thing while driving only on 2 wheels in my 18-wheeler. And all it would do is just redirect you and force you to change your answers. It doesn't, like, notify anybody or educate you. It's just like, no, your answers must make sense. And these people who created this website didn't know it. That's what it is. We did something. We showed it to some people who were in charge. They said, yep, looks good. Check that block. Go on with your life. And then everybody's crashing their 18-wheelers into minivans.
Beautiful imagery. I want, if there's anyone listening that's bored enough to start sketching, will you please draw out that image of Kyle? Like, rewind it, everything he just described, sketch that out. I'm putting it on a t-shirt. It's beautiful.
We will put it up on our website, actually.
Yeah, we'll buy that from you. If it looks good, yeah, I could see putting some cash for that.
I'm going to MS Paint it while I'm on duty tomorrow. We got big news is the NFL has hired Sarah Thomas as the league's first woman referee. Right, and I got a big question about this one. Who the fudge gives a fudge? It is ridiculous that this is news. What are the reasons for concern? Are people worried about her performance under pressure? Maybe if the hype machine didn't make such a big deal out of her being hired, there wouldn't be so much dang diddly pressure. Like, I feel like we're all way too focused on this. Like, we're going to jinx it. You know, I personally have no idea how this could possibly be news, or rather a big deal. That's what I should say. I see news, but how this could probably be like a cause for concern or the good decision or real truth. Enlighten me. I need to hear this from you guys, because I was reading the articles and they were just like, yeah, she's this, and then she was hired, and I'm like, okay. Then I read the comments, and a lot of sexist jokes, and some of them were actually kind of funny, but I need to hear it from you guys. Why is this a big deal?
First off, she's very qualified.
Like, I understand that it's significant, yeah, first woman, but, like, what's the controversy?
Well, the reasons for concern, in my mind, and Kyle's going to differ, and you're going to differ, because you don't seem to care that it's happening, you just want to know why it's such a big deal.
Yep.
The reason for my concern is, one, and this is going to sound sexist, and it's unfortunate because it is the real concern that is in a lot of people's minds that aren't trying to make it sexist. And that is that she's a woman and she's on a football field with guys that are well over the 300-pound mark. And if anybody's ever seen a video where a referee gets just mowed the hell down by Rob Gronkowski or Vince Wilfork because they happen to be in the way, you know that that's probably not the best place for her to be. I mean, if you've seen pictures of her, very pretty girl. She is very thin. It's not like we have, Beast from the Glee out there, hanging out
Oh my God.
She's not a big masculine type woman, and that sounds horrible, but that's the truth. If she gets hit by one of those guys, I would be afraid that she would get very hurt. Now, could that happen to a male referee? Absolutely. But for some reason, that concern is bigger in everybody else's mind for a woman than for a man. Is it the right decision? Absolutely, it's the right decision, because we're only going to know once we get her on the field and if it works. If it works, then that's great. Now, the first time something bad happens, there's going to be a question of, is it the right decision? The real truth behind it is that she is going to probably make a great NFL ref. She knows the rules. She's very intelligent. From the interviews that I've seen of her, she's going to make a better ref than a lot of what we've seen. Let's be completely honest. That is a very high point of contention, especially with Kyle and I. We all through the season last year, all we could talk about is how horrible the refs were. So let's hope that she brings something new and revolutionary to the game instead of just being another person who's like, yeah, I saw something and it was wrong, but I didn't flag it.
I can see your point on her getting, slammed out there, but maybe that's the whole libertarian part of me that has to step in and say, you know what? If you're setting foot on a football field, you're taking your chances, I'm sure she is well aware of her chances of getting slammed by Gronk. And, I don't know. It'll suck. I will wish her a speedy recovery, but I'm not going to sit here and say, like, out of nowhere, who'd have thought that could have happened? I mean, look, least of all her. Like, I think that should be her damn decision to get on the field and risk getting smacked around if she feels like making that decision. I don't think anyone should really have to worry about that for her. She's grown.
Yeah, I agree with you, Mike. I think that is completely her decision. I don't think that this is the wrong decision. I think this is revolutionary for women referees, and I think it's a great thing. I ref football games myself, and I've refed with a lot of women referees, and then let's be honest, some of them are much better than men, and there's something about a woman on a football field when she walks up, blows the whistle in a 200-pound lineman's face on a high school football field and says, "Get your ass off my field." "Yes, ma'am," is the first thing that comes out of their mouths, and they walk back in shame. And it's hilarious to see. And when I do it, they're just like, psh, this ref, blue, striped, zebra asshole, he doesn't give a shit about what I have to say. And it's just like that's the actual attitude. There is more respect for them on the field, believe it or not.
I buy it. But Kyle, you've been strangely quiet this whole time.
I can talk now? All right. Yeah, well, no, I was strangely quiet because you two wouldn't shut the hell up. You got Ron over here making a sexist comment.
Do you want the bell?
How you have...
Do you want the bell? That's how you get the bell.
Yeah, can I get the bell? Thank you.
All right, go on.
That does make it a little better, actually. Ron, I gotta call you out for making a sexist point and then referencing Glee. I don't know anything about Glee because I do not have a vagina attached to my body.
Oh, no.
You just made such a greater sexist comment than I ever did.
It's true.
That's all part of the plan, Ronaldo. All part of the plan. Anyway,
it's a bold strategy, Cotton.
The thing I like, she's young, she's physically fit, she's more than a little bit qualified. So she's got to do the job 3 times better than any man because she's a woman, got to be the first, blah, blah, blah. I'm just hoping that she can bring a degree of competency. I hope that players don't feel the need to target her out of some misplaced machismo. I hope the other refs don't feel a need to put her down due to some misplaced machismo. I think if everybody has this understanding that, like, look, if you do your job, she'll do her job, and we all go home happy, then it's going to be perfect. But that's a perfect world. It doesn't work like that. This is the future. If she can do the job competently, then there's no issue.
I mean, that's all I got. That's all I got on it. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's a great note to sit on. Is like, well, let's hope for it. We can move on and talk about Jamie Winston's weight. Have you guys seen this picture of him?
Yeah, it's not great.
How much do you guys care about how he looks without a shirt on? Like, tell me how you feel about how he looks without a shirt on, Ron.
Kyle and I will agree on this one point, and that is that size does not determine your true athletic ability. One person that I always bring up in this specific situation when we're talking about this is Jared Lorenzen. He was a quarterback in the NFL, big guy. I think at one point he surpassed the 300-pound mark at 6'2" or something like that. He was a very, very big guy, very big quarterback, just incredibly nimble for his size. Really strong arm, just never got a shot. Why? Because everybody was like, "Oh, you're much too big to be a quarterback. How could you possibly be able to work at being a quarterback. You can't be Eli Manning. You can't be, Richie Cunningham. You can't be any of these guys. Well, no, he can't. You know why? Because he's a 300-pound quarterback. You know what he's best at? Yeah. He's best at dropping back, watching 4 guys rush at him laughing, shoving them to the ground, and then him walking up, throwing the football all the way down the field for a touchdown. That's what he's going to be good at.
Yeah,
and then,
you're giving him too much credit, though.
Well, I might be, but I'm just saying, I know that that's not what he did because he never got the opportunity. But this is a guy who went to the CFL and then on to the Arena Football League, and between those two things, had undefeated seasons.
Yeah, and he kept getting bigger the whole time to the point where he got to like 340 some odd pounds. So that's the fear.
Right, and that is a legitimate fear. I completely agree with you, Kyle. That is a legitimate fear, but that what I'm trying to say is that just because somebody doesn't look the part doesn't mean they can't play the part.
I agree with that completely.
Okay, but that's what I'm trying to get you to understand is that is a terrible damned example because he's so far the opposite direction. This is a guy who, all right, yeah, he had talent and all that, and maybe if he was given the chance to start, he would have improved his physique, but you read articles about the dude, he even said all he needed to do was show up looking right on weigh-in day, and then the rest of the year be damned.
Okay, so that was a bad example.
So that's a terrible example. And the reason that people are flipping out is because we can all say, look at Tom Brady. Tom Brady is an amazing quarterback, one of the best in the history of time, and he doesn't have an amazing physique. His physique is similar to Jameis Winston, but Tom Brady's 36, 37? He's allowed to have that kind of physique, and at 36, 37, you're like, damn, Tom Brady, keeping it together, even in the offseason. Way to go. Golf clap. The one that people are worried about is him turning into like a Jamarcus Russell, because the fear is if you're young and not cut at this age, what's going to happen when your metabolism slows down? What's going to happen when you aren't quite as regulated, when you don't have all these things to occupy your time with? You're going to balloon up. And Jamarcus Russell was a guy, different play style than Jameis Winston, a lot more of a mobile quarterback than a pocket passer like Winston is. And so, yeah, Jamarcus Russell needed that speed that he lost with weight. But people are concerned because while not fat, he's not ripped. And I think it's unfair that he's being put in that light, but I understand the concern.
I mean, I wanted to make the point that there is a legitimate bodybuilding strategy that a lot of the big time, it's super old school, but for a reason. I mean, it works. The old time bodybuilders, I'm talking like power lifters, like the big guys. They have a bulking strategy called Get Effing Huge, where in the off season, you just put on weight by just slamming donuts and pizzas and just crap all day. Also known as dirty bulking. And you're still lifting maximum amounts of iron. And then when it's time for game season, you just cut the fat. And I honestly, looking at him right there, the picture's not like a skinny fat, where he's just got fat with no muscle on top of it. Yeah, he's definitely got a gut and some extra, body fat going, but, I mean, he cuts that off. That's a big dude under there still. I honestly think he's just crammed it on for the winter and he's going to shed it, and I don't know, that might be what he's going for. I don't know. I'm not the expert.
That may be, but the problem is,
Kyle's looking at it from a discipline perspective.
Okay, that's fair.
Well, because keep in mind, you can say, I personally believe the 40 doesn't matter, and we'll get into that later. It doesn't matter the effect that people give it, but you still train up for it. You still practice getting off the blocks. You'll never do it again in your NFL career. You are never going to do a sprinter's 40. You won't. You're going to be running a wide receiver's route. But you train for it for months because that is how you'll be evaluated. So bulking up and whatnot, you don't train for training camp before you get drafted. You train to get drafted, then you train for training camp. So right now, if he's already moving on to training camp, it's a problem because he's giving the image of somebody who is not ready to get drafted. It doesn't matter that he's jumping ahead. That speaks of arrogance to some people. He thinks he's already the number one. I'm with you guys. You look at super fit dudes like LaRon Landry, you just go, okay, PED king. Dude getting photos taken in the gym now, looking all kinds of swole. He goes to the Iron Church every day and does his rosary. Whatever. I don't think Jameis Winston should be penalized, but at the same time, I understand everybody who's calling him out. Maybe not to the extent that they are, though.
I'll disagree. Kyle will probably want his last word on this, but I can't sit here and say that because of the way he looks, he won't be a good quarterback. I think we've all come to the conclusion that neither him nor Marcus Mariota are going to be great quarterbacks, but I can't allow the way he looks in his pro day without his shirt on to be the factor into what I believe his true skill set will be.
No, I actually agree 100% with that. I'm just saying I understand the criticism.
Well, what are we arguing about?
All right.
Let's
grilled cheese.
Let's move. Oh my God, so good. Let's move on. We've got another draft prospect got arrested for DUI. Early round predict. Cornerback P.J. Williams was arrested last week for DUI. Told the cops he wanted to just go home. In fact, he insisted on it. This dummy.
I know we talk about DUIs all the time, and I know there was another draft prospect that got a DUI as well last week. It just, why are you getting a DUI? Doesn't make any sense. There's no reason to get DUIs anymore. There's no way anybody should ever, in the advanced technological world we live in now, ever get a DUI.
The potential for this guy, and this is not the first time he screwed up something like that. So I'm like, dude, F you, man.
You hope he learned something from it, but think of the monetary impact of what he just did. In the military, they're like, oh, well, the cost of the insurance going up and the impounded car and the legal fees and this and that. You know, most of the time you get estimates of between $7,000 to $21,000 as your cost. But a dude like this, it can be $1 million plus that he is going to lose due to one terrible decision, but justified. You know, if you can't be responsible when you know you've got so much opportunity in front of you, I mean, why take the chance?
No kidding, man. All right, guys, let's get into some actual like notable personnel moves. We'll start with linebacker Nick Bellore, who finally lands in San Fran after a long search for a new home.
Yeah, this guy's mostly a special teamer. Played a little bit at the linebacker spot, but mostly as a rotational guy. He was originally undrafted in 2011. Really, this is a grab and stash by the 49ers because they really, really need help. All the help they can get at the linebacker position after Patrick Willis and Chris Borland both left, and it's not looking good at that position for them.
A lot of times when you see these kind of moves, it's the mentality of throw everything at the wall and see what sticks. So you want to have too many of this player position coming into training camp, maybe sacrifice a few other positions, you know, overstock on linebacker and find out who works in training camp, cut the rest, keep who's going to be okay, move on with your life.
All right, well, up next we got safety Deshaun Goldson being traded to the Redskins for an undisclosed draft pick from the Buccaneers.
Yeah, another outstanding move by the Redskins, who trade for an 8-year, barely middle-of-the-road safety that can't really play physical anymore because of the rules of the NFL.
As of now, the pick is undisclosed. I am under the impression, and I don't know why, probably because I'm an idiot, and I start just making crap up, because that's how my brain works. But I believe it is for a 6th-round pick, a round 6er.
Which is still too much, giving them any picks for a guy like Deshaun Goldson, who's a decent safety. It's just his style of play isn't applicable anymore. So that's it.
Well, Bears released center Roberto Garza and then signed center Will Montgomery.
Yeah, this is another awesome move. Of course, it comes at the hands of my beloved Chicago Bears. They get rid of Garza, a 36-year-old center, and then sign a 32-year-old center. So that's the Bears life I live. And you get old and you stay old. That's the mentality. That's the strategy of Ryan Pace right now. But to be honest, Roberto Garza needed to go. He doesn't fit the offense that they're trying to install, and he was a much better guard than he ever was a center. It's fine. I'm okay with it. It seems at this point that all they're doing is really stacking the cards against Cutler to see if he can overcome basically every single adversity that they throw at him. And at this point, now they're starting to say that they might end up trading up for Mariota, which will make me want to probably go on a classic 1980s postal run.
Well,
okay, that's one way of dealing with what life throws at you. I mean, you would think that you would be used to it by now, but, you know, cool. But it's probably a good move. It's not that bad that the guy they replaced him with is 32. If he has 1 or 2 years left, then it's fine. You don't necessarily have to get the next answer at center right away. If you can play the patchwork quilt kind of game for a little while, that's fine. It's something. Getting rid of Garza is only difficult because he was in that one commercial with Jay Cutler where he's like talking to the ladies and they're wearing each other's clothes and they don't like it. And then Jay Cutler's like, oh, but Garza wears my jersey and so it's okay. And that was the time when Jay Cutler was the least punchable in the face. Speaking of Jay Cutler, Ron, did you hear the news?
No. What?
Yeah, you did, because it's not in the docs. That meant you saw it and you skipped over it, hoping that I didn't see it, but I did.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Are you about to talk about the football thing?
Yeah.
The football thing?
The football thing. So, Mike, let me enlighten you, because Ron chose not to enlighten you.
I chose to not enlighten anyone, let's be clear.
But Kyle brings that knowledge.
Kyle?
I'm like a missionary doing God's work.
Is there a bell ring coming?
You might, but it'll be a sad...
We'll see.
It'll be a sad
Lay it on me.
So, there was a charity event in the city of Chicago. In Chicago, not around, not in the state. In Chicago, where the Bears call home. Charity event where a Jay Cutler autographed football was put on auction to benefit charity. Opening bid $100, 0 bids.
That sucks. That sucks. That's funny. Just because that's sad. Because I want the kids to, charity, whatever. But like, I'm happy that happened so that we can tease Ron.
And when you think about what that means, there's nobody going.
I hate you. I hate you. I hate you. Here in our chat.
I think that I deserve that, what with all the build-up, because these are things that Ron hopes he can get away with, but he knows he can't. And I don't say anything, I just spring it on him, which means that I'm going to be the most entertaining parent when my daughter goes out, when she's not supposed to as a teenager, as they all do. And my kid, she's going to be cute. People who hate me said, you're going to have a cute kid, it's fine. So rather than just, where were you, young lady, I am going to make sure that I plant coke in so many cars.
Oh, it's so funny.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. I was contemplating joining the FBI for a while just so I could keep tabs, but then they wanted like a degree and all this physical effort. And I'm like, what am I, Superman? This is ridiculous. And then I ate chips.
Actually, that's pretty funny because I keep getting letters from the CIA telling me to keep enrolling. No, not that CIA, the Culinary Institute of America. So I work for the FBI and the CIA wants me. So this is cute. Do you guys want to keep talking about football?
Please. Christ.
Well, the Dolphins have signed quarterback Josh Freeman to a 1-year deal.
Yeah, this is a guy who didn't play last year at all. He went from the Bucs, who shunned him, to the Vikings, where he played awful, and then he was thrown out of Minnesota, which is quite an accomplishment because to be thrown out of Minnesota, they are one small step from being Canadians. And those are like the nicest people and apologetic people that you could possibly encounter. So to be tossed out of a state where everybody is kind that's something to put in your memoirs.
Oh, no.
Like, if Jay Cutler played for the Vikings, somebody would have pity bit on that ball.
Jesus.
But this is... I mean, is this good for the Dolphins? Is he going to provide a veteran perspective for Ryan Tannehill? Does Tannehill need a veteran perspective? Do they expect him to be a competent backup if called into action? At this point, I think you can very safely say, dude is a bust, a draft bust.
Well, it doesn't make, I don't understand the signing. They have Matt Moore there already. He's a guy who has started for them before Tannehill got there. He's a very, very competent backup to what I would say he's kind of in between that backup versus game manager starting role. But to bring in Josh Freeman, what was the point of that? What does he bring that Matt Moore doesn't already bring? What can he contribute versus what Tannehill does. I mean, he's a completely different style quarterback than either of them. And this just goes into another completely different subject of teams that bring in backup quarterbacks that have completely different offensive skills than the current starter. It just doesn't make any sense.
Well, it could, though, because what if you want to go with the belief system that you have a backup quarterback for each style of play, so you can have an effective scout team depending on who you face week to week. That's one way. I personally would rather believe that because Josh Freeman used to play in Tampa Bay, so he was already in Florida, that they are bringing him in because he's got a really good drug connection.
All right.
All right, then.
Well, the Ravens have traded their center, Gino Gradkowski, and a draft pick to the Broncos for a draft pick. No details other than that. Very specific, Gradkowski.
Yeah, this one is... It's weird because this was somebody who was...
the grad and the cow and the ski.
Well, he was a high draft pick a while back. I think, I want to say 2011 again. And he just didn't work out for the Ravens. The problem is that they run a run blocking / kind of zone work in scheme there. And that's not exactly his strong suit. He's more of a pass blocker. So it makes sense for him to go to the Broncos where they run a pass zone blocking scheme, which is playing to his strengths, and he'll get that there. And very good pickup considering they lost Will Montgomery to the Bears, and that'll be somebody who can be very successful there, hopefully, especially considering he's already played in Kubiak's offense to begin with. Do
you think that the guy who was like in charge of stamping players' names on the back of their jersey was just super pissed when Gradkowski showed up? He's like, I'm gonna have to work through lunch. Like, he was mad as hell. Like, he had it took him extra long.
You've never seen some of the other names like Humani,
I have, but it's sitting in that like that. Like, how many times do you think he double checked these names, like, just to be sure? Do you think he ever screwed it up? Like, I'm pretty sure that's not how it's spelled. Like, will you figure? And he just loses his patience. Like, you figure this alphabet soup BS out, then I quit, and just like stormed off because of.
What, have you like never seen a Polish name before? He's a ski. All right, Grad.
No, I like
ski.
it. I am not talking any kind of garbage. I'm down with the silly Polish.
It's not
names, but
that complicated. I mean, I do like your idea of it maybe being just some lonely old man who's got to stitch the jerseys, and he just looks at this and he cries because his arthritis is so bad, and he doesn't have the good insurance to buy medication, and his wife is dead, and his dog is sick.
See, that's the thing. It's all just, dude, I set up the framework, and then Kyle comes in and builds this beautifully horrific house around it. Oh, God, I'm glad we know each other.
I believe that having a great imagination means you can never be bored.
Do we have anything else to say about the guy?
No, that's it.
All right. Well, the Bears have signed...
Well, the guy being Gradkowski or the old man?
Both.
I could always weave more narrative, but I think that should be saved for later.
The Bears have signed both running back Jacquizz Rodgers and Sam Acho to one-year deals.
Yeah, this is a depth move when it comes to Jacquizz Rodgers. They don't have a lot there depth-wise. They don't have a good power back. That's what he comes in to fill. He's a surprisingly fast guy for his strength. It'll probably end up being the goal line guy, whereas Sam Acho, he comes in to be another depth rotation guy in this new 3-4 defense they're going to be running. Traditional outside linebacker, kind of a pass rushing guy, but has played the run very well, but a very good special teamer, which is another spot of the Bears team that has been very, very, very poor over the last couple of years.
Jacquizz to me sounds like some sort of like jazz done on ice, and Sam Acho sounds like a very spicy tomato soup.
Yeah, like a gazpacho, but it's named after Sam. I like that.
Right? See, he gets it. And moving on.
Jacquizz, it's got the Q and the 2 Z's, and Jacquizz, like, sounds, anyway. Sounds like it might be like a drink that used to compete with like Mondo or like Squeeze It. Like, what you got in the fridge? Got a Jacquizz. Well, the incredibly expanded market on linebacker.
Wait, no, I was gonna say, I was gonna give you so much credit.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, no, you weren't saying the stupidest thing ever, because I was about to say his name just makes me think Kenny G on ice.
You and me we're running a 3-legged race of retarded tonight. You and me are killing it. No, and I'm having the time of my life. I'm just not,
All right, you guys.
I'm going to delude myself. Don't you all right us? The incredibly expanded market on linebacker Rolando McClain has closed as he heads back to Dallas.
If anybody has been tracking this, this is a awfully hilarious story. And by awfully, I mean that he is idiotic, burned down his own house. Not
Allegedly.
proven. That's alleged, but I'm going to say that he burned down his own house because there's just no way that somebody takes the actions that he did when his house burned down that didn't burn down their own house. Then he didn't get re-signed by Dallas. Decided he was going to test the free agent market because they gave him the option to do so. Went out to all the other teams. The other teams were like, no. And then he came back to Dallas with his hat and his little hands, which are actually big hands because he's an NFL player. And he said, yeah, nobody wants me. And they were like, all right, well, you know that $1 million we're going to give you? Here's $725,000, which is the minimum that we have to pay you. And so he went out, tested the market, came back and got paid a fourth less than what he would have gotten paid.
That is one of the best stories I have ever heard.
Seriously.
Involving Jerry Jones being right. Jerry Jones isn't right all the time, and a lot of the time when he is right, you can say, yeah, but, and then finish your sentence with information and facts and whatever. This is a time where I just really hope Jerry Jones made the guy pick up some trash on his way out of the room when he signed it. I own your soul. There is nothing. Every time you defecate, I'm going to be right around the corner reminding you, no peace for you.
All right, well, in that case, lastly, we got quarterback Matt Schaub was signed back up to Joe Flacco in Baltimore. Promptly said he had lots of football left in him and is ready to keep playing.
Wait. Matt Schaub was signed by Baltimore, you said?
I read it as the sentence is written. Matt Schaub was signed to back up Joe Flacco in Baltimore.
On purpose?
Yes.
That's what the headline says.
Why, though?
Because he's got lots of football left in him, and he's ready to play.
Yeah.
Well, if by football you mean giving it to the other team for 6 points, yeah. Okay, so wait. Did the Steelers pay his salary? Because there's no way the Ravens are doing this because...
Did you just have a stroke? Did it happen? Did we reach the Kyle stroke moment in the show?
No, I just really, really, really feel it. Poor Matt Schaub, he was doing pretty well there for a minute. Hey, yeah, the Colts are wounded. Now's my chance. Playoffs 2 years in a row and failure.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to him. I don't know. It's got to be a mental thing at this point, unless there was an injury there that injured him so bad, concussion-wise or something, that maybe he just can't play anymore. I don't know what the deal is. He has not been good since he came back from that last concussion. But for him to say that he's got a lot of football left and he's ready to play, that's great in theory, but you just went to the one team where the quarterback never goes down. Knock on wood, ring your bell. Joe Flacco has started every game since he started playing football for the Ravens, since he became the starter. So I don't foresee him really taking the field other than to run the water out to Joe Flacco.
And Joe Flacco, at this point, he's a Super Bowl champion. He doesn't need anybody to give a different perspective. He knows what he's doing. He knows how to run an offense. I guess the idea here is you get a guy in as a competent backup, but Matt Schaub, like Ron said, his mental game is so out of whack. He can't do it anymore. He just throws interceptions. He's not all there. He's physically capable, sure, but mentally he's going to make mistakes. And in deference to our good friend Brett, I am going to say it is because T.Y. Hilton has broken his soul.
Is that a shout out to Brett Coleman?
That is for my good buddy Brett. Brett, you got to come back on and tell me how much you hate T.Y. Hilton, because having somebody genuinely hate the Colts, it's like nourishment for me. It's sustenance.
Yeah, check out Brett on Battle Red Blog. Great writer and great. He was a great guest. I really liked him.
Oh, he's fun. He was fun. And he threw jabs at the Colts, and I did not feel the need to throw too many back. I did, but I didn't have to. It was great.
All right, Mike. Well, let's wrap up so you can get out of here. I know you have to go to work early. Go ahead and lasso this one in.
All right, guys. Well, big thanks to the usual folks. Of course, our listeners. They're actually the people who make the thing that we do what it do. Nick Wright at SoundWright. You can get him at soundwright.com. NickWright35@gmail.com has been our links on our sponsors page. Big thanks to Jared for believing in us and all the hard work he does for us and censoring and reviewing what we do.
Thanks for telling me about those sandwiches, Jared. They were delicious.
That's a Subway joke, everybody. Hey, thanks to Anthony for, once again, working so hard to put our website together, and it is pretty much finished. If you are not checking out our website, you need to be doing so. footballisamerica.com. It has every show we've ever done, with graphics, with links, with web links to the stories we talk about. It's got everything in there. Go on there, check it out. Also, click our ad links. Help us out. Do the Amazon search bar. Click our Audible link. Sign up for Audible. I know you probably don't need it, but sign up anyway. It's free for 30 days, and you help us out. You can cancel anytime. Same thing with NatureBox. Get your free snack. Get your half off. It's a great service. We actually signed up. And
let me go ahead and save all your lives, because I am that sort of benevolent deity. All you're going to be on Facebook, clickety-clack, look at me, I'm so great, pork pie hat. Oh, I'm the first one to get NatureBox. Let me tell all my D-bag friends about it. Now, everybody's going around getting NatureBox because it sounds cool and it's a great product, and you're the jackass who thought of it first. Oh, hipster credit, delicious.
Do you really think that's our market? Like our demographic, like our audience is the hipsters?
I clearly don't give a shit.
Also, don't forget to comment, tweet, email, all those things. We have a nice new comment section on there. Go on there, check them out, use our ads. Thank you.
You can do like me and start going on there and just spamming comments to Ron constantly. Just constantly. I'm bored at work. Ron, why do you suck so hard? Send. Ron, what's wrong with your face? Send. Ron, is it true what they say about you? Send. Ron, why did you do that thing to the cow? Don't you have a soul? Send!
Wow. We also will have a wall of shame set up soon, so be prepared.
I expect to be pretty featured on that with the dumb stuff that I say. Hooray.
All right. Huge thanks to the military, past and present. We appreciate everything you do.
Yeah!
All of you protect us some way, shape, or form. We appreciate that. Also, thanks to the police, firefighters, and paramedics. Everybody here on the home front doing the exact same thing. Not exactly the exact same thing, but you do a really good job, and we appreciate everything you do as well.
Yeah!
Thank you to Jesus for giving us a holiday.
Yes, thank you for
Pretty
Easter,
cool.
apparently.
You guys, I just want you to know I went to a church that had Christian dubstep.
Well, that'll be a story for later. So,
I live an exciting life.
thank you to everybody. Make sure you guys check out the interviews we posted this week, as well as the solo interview I did with Seth Kaiser, where Kyle bailed on me and I had to do the interview on my own.
It is actually way better than you might think that it.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm in goddamn Kotzebue. Look it up on a map.
I talking to you right now, mother effer. I'm addressing the listeners that if you think like, oh, Ron, he's the tamest of the group. Well, yeah, and he also kicks ass at interviewing, so he did really well that interview.
All right, well, that's going to wrap us up, guys. Everybody have a wonderful evening. Thank you for joining us. Guys, good night.
Stop touching yourself.
Continue touching yourself. Good night.